Friends, this week we read one of the most instantly recognizable stories in the entire Torah. It is the story of Noah, who was introduced at the very end of last week. I am confident that you all in this room know the story, at least to some extent, at least the vague outlines, whether it's from religious school or just general popular culture. The flood is a very common story for us to know. But for anyone who is unfamiliar, we read at the end of last week's Parashat that the world had become, really very quickly, so corrupt that Hashem regretted having made humankind on earth. And he vowed to destroy all life. But Noah, a righteous man, emerged from Hashem's wrath unscathed and thus was allowed to live, along with, as we know, his family and two of every animal. I don't need to get into the rest of the story, but I do want to talk about something that I feel is a little bit under-discussed. I want to go back to the beginning of last week. Hashem created the world. He created divided the light from the day, light from the dark, divided the earth from the sky. And then he created, on the last day, he created Adam. He created man. And only later, once the first man was done trying to name all of the animals, I said, no, I need a helper, and Hashem created Eve. The implication here is that Hashem thought that a single human was sufficient. And then Adam said, no, I need. Sometimes it's translated as helper, sometimes it's translated as partner. I think however you want to interpret it, you certainly can. Go ahead very, very shortly. Hashem destroys the world with the flood. But I feel like it's interesting. He doesn't go back to thinking, okay, we only need one person. He doesn't even just say Noah and his wife. He's like Adam and Eve, Noah and his wife, who is unnamed throughout this whole story. Noah had 3 sons, all of whom were married, all of whom survived the flood. They were allowed to get on the ark as well. They were there. They were able to help Noah bring a world that Hashem hoped would have less lawlessness and more righteousness. After 40 days and 40 nights, when the waters receded, they emerged onto this sort of changed world where the family could begin rebuilding. So obviously this is all sort of background summary. It's just telling you what happens this week in the Parsha. What I find interesting, I think that it is an important sort of underappreciated element of this, is this recognition that humans require each other. The Torah does not tell us that Noah's wife was particularly righteous. Torah does not tell us that Noah's sons or their wives were particularly righteous. So the question then comes, why did Hashem spare them dying in the flood? He killed a lot of other people. Why not them? Rashi offers one reason, which is that since Noah and his wife were not able to live as a married couple during the flood due to the world being, quote, in a state of distress, Ham, Shem, and Yafet offered Noah companionship. So the men sort of stayed in one place and the women stayed in another. And I don't really know that I find this argument all that convincing. I think Rashi was very smart, obviously, but I don't know if I find this convincing. I think really the more important is sort of the real element of why, there's 2 of each animal. It's not just to repopulate the earth. It's also because animals, like humans, are social. For those of you, I think it might just be in this room, Matthew, actually looking around. In my JLF class this semester, we're talking a lot about interpersonal relationships. Yes, romantic relationships, but also platonic and familial and parent to child and others. And the ways in which these relationships improve our lives. Existence, as we know, is designed to be shared. It's designed to come together, to build together, to develop customs and traditions and silly inside jokes, and eventually to develop culture. I think it's what makes life worth living. It's what makes this new world that Noah and his family were creating worth being a part of. It's one of the reasons why Hashem decides it promises never to destroy it again. You enter into a relationship with whatever, boyfriend, girlfriend, your siblings, your friends. You enter as one person. This is who you are when you started. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, you change. You don't notice because the other person, the people around you are changing as well. And it stands to reason that Hashem would hope that Noah's righteousness would slowly, in a world without corruption, begin to rub off on his family as well. Existing among people who support you can only make you better, make you stronger, and make you better equipped to handle whatever life throws your way. Shabbat Shalom.